Good afternoon once again. Welcome to our ITDB 401 class. Okay. So this time, obviously, I'm now in the university premises. And let me just log in my email first. 1 second. I think Tuful probably know already her marks in midterm. And what about Fatima? Actually, both of you having the same marks. So what did I told you to full yesterday? So that I will not be opening my class record anymore. How much marks you got, Miss Tuful? Yeah, pretty much you have the same. Tuful, what's your mark?
15.5.
15.5, so 16. So uh, I don't know. Literally, you have the same mistake actually. But anyhow, 16 marks is a good marks out of 20. Right. So this time, just allow me to share my desktop. And actually, we just waited for Fatima to join in yesterday. We have discussed what are the still needs to complete during this final period. And okay, let me just open up my old
Yeah.
e-learning. Yes, is that Fatima?
Yes, teacher. Me.
Yeah. Are you?
I would ask you about question number 9 in midterm exam. It's about
Mm-mm.
control break. It's in
What
which
is that?
chapter?
What is that
Uh,
question? If you don't mind.
uh, it's about
It's about report.
yes, interactive report page using control break.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yes, in which
Which
chapter
is
is
yeah,
that? Because I
yeah. That
don't
was
remember if we study it or not.
we did actually. Probably during those days, one of you are coming in and one of you sometimes are absent, and in the other
Yeah, but
days.
I
So that
I
is a
saw
part of
the
report.
recorded video also.
It it was an interactive report. So which means you know already your mistake though, because that most of your mistake is coming from the interactive reports. Unfortunately, you know what? If you're pretty careful about it, that's why I have option there that to you can take a snap if you have perform it uh, perform it well. Because you know what the problem with the interactive report, ladies, if you haven't saved that interactive report and then you submit the answers or the application it and then I installed it or even I just directly check out your application from our Hans Apex workspace, it won't come there because you haven't saved it. But that is unfortunately because that marks will be only taken if you have saved that particular interactive report. Actually, the control break is doesn't it's easy. Every single actions there are easy as long as that you have saved it. So, which means anyhow today we'll be working with views, and definitely we will be going back to interactive report, and I'll show you once again that one as well. And I don't remember if to full. Oh wait, what is this? Ask me some. What do you call this one? Some other links that I could provide you the the lessons that we have separately, other than the classes recorded classes we have. So it was also technically there. Okay, now it's asked me to change my password. Okay, let me just update my password. 1 second. This will cost me a lot of time. And the question there in your midterm was only, I think only about customer. Oh, invalid password, 1 second. It's only customer, it's only customer report page. So which means that only the page that I'm going to check, of course, the customer. But when I saw it, of course, barely it's still the same, which is hardly, that's common mistake of the students. They have done it. They have done it, even though you said it, suppose you haven't done it. But you know what the problem is? They have done the instruction completely, but they haven't saved it, the interactive report, as a primary, because I told you to save that one as a primary or a separate file. Whenever I will run that one or even install your submitted application, it would be still on the same format. So that's the big problem on that one. Let me check one. Can you? Oh no, not here. Can you give me one student ID? Or that is ordering system, I think. Say one of these one. Right. All right. So let me just log in. So one question there is, I think it fall on customer report. So it's all about interactive report. When I check this one, it's still the same. See, it's still the same. So which means even though you have done that break action or several formats are there or even highlight or even group or anything that will lead you to make some formatting, say for example for control break, and I just barely selected only by name either because I mentioned which column needs to be break. If you apply that one, definitely it will break in a different format. See, the problem was even you do this one, you log out and run it once again. This format won't be there anymore. It won't be there anymore. I will show you. I will log out again. I'll sign out and okay, login and not unless it's still there, still be there in my buffer. But see, obviously it's not there. Right. This is basically common mistake because since the question is even the saving is mentioned there, so which means you have to perform the last step, even though you have done so many formattings in the actions, even though you have done formatting in the action, the last saving of your report will be only take effect. So I'll show you now how to save. But I believe there are two options here. But in your exam, I ask you to save another file. I ask you to save another file. So right, so we have this report that we have a save report. And there are two options, name the report and default report. Because the default report, whoever will log in from this application, whatever the settings you made on the formatting will be all the same throughout all the logins credentials. But since in your exam I ask you a name report, so this is Hansel report example, and then apply, you will see that it's already there, Hansel report. Technically, it's already been saved because it's over here already. But otherwise, if you save it again as as a default setting, primary, so which means all of the reports will be same like this. So let me just log out or sign out once again and see what will take effect. Go back to that customer report and the same. So these are common mistake. Doing the performing of the actions is pretty easy, right? That's why interactive report is very interactive. Basically, you can see all the instructions easily as long as whatever the questions will be. But the thing is only the saving of this report will not take effect. So that will cause a deduction on most of the part of that particular questions. Right. So which means this time now, the primary report is mentioned that there are two default here, primary report and Hansel report. Right. See. And right. So otherwise, if I remove this one, it will of course return back to the previous format. Right. So interactive, basically from the word itself, really it's quite easy for each one of the users. Either you want to filter it, you want to make aggregations, right? So to make a format. So we have performed this one of our classes, and pretty much only we haven't done is the chart. But anyhow, chart is even very interactive. So if you want to do some charting based on the uh, customer addresses, or say for example, you can just see it directly. It's very quite interactive. Even kind of a secondary level student can perform this well if he or she knows the property of a typical chart. So suppose if I want to take the bar chart, and then I will select for the label for their addresses, and maybe I will make a value for each one of the customer ID, and then probably though I'll just make sum or counting only, something like that, or maybe the value will coming from other displays, right? You can see immediately once that you have performed this one, right? There will be a graph. So it's very intuitive. That's why it was named to that one, right? But still, even you have performed this one during the exam, take note, even you have performed this one during the exam without saving this one, right? As a primary, it won't take effect. It won't take effect. Or probably wait, before I save, I will make a default for this. What do you call this one? The report. If I save this one, the button uh, of that chart will be there, will still be there. So let me save it as primary, right? Apply. Okay, sign out again and sign it back, and you will still see that button of that particular graph, which is there besides the action, right? So which means furthermore customization can be done as per user. Interactive report had been there in quite long time in Oracle Apex. Even it wasn't the action is still like pretty much the same like this still, but it becoming more intuitive and much more flexible. So only the thing is the customization. If you haven't done the saving, it won't come on your page, of course, by the time that you log in or sign in once again. Okay, since we are talking about the interactive report, this interactive report is basically dynamically linked to your table. If you remember which table was that one. So if I will edit this page, you will see the page designer view, right? So you will see the page designer view. You have done this one during the exam automatically during the application creation of the application. Otherwise, if you have added this one as a separate page, of course, you have to add that particular component. So where exactly is this what do you call this one? Let me just remove this region, this interactive report. From your page designer, you can see it from your left panel, right? From the content body. So if you have named that one as 42S163677 customer one, oh, that will be the name of that object. So obviously you will see that there are some columns underneath this one. And then that columns are specifically all the fields that pulled out from your table, right? And the thing is now why I said it like quite shallow, because you just perform the source. You can go check out the right attribute property panel, particularly here in the source. Why? Because it's just barely as a table or a view, which is later we will be working with the view later, because we can also create a typical interactive report, not only based on your table from your schema, but you can also base on the view, right? But what if you want to see, the source code of your SQL statement, right? The source code of your SQL statement. So, which means the type here can be changed into SQL query. Actually, we have three options there. We can also write a returning body that pretty much like a PLSQL, but we will do further this working on this one once that we are doing the advanced PL scripts already. We can also make use of a SQL query. But teacher, can I customize the SQL query? Yes, indeed. That's why Oracle Apex are becoming more flexible when it comes to developing your app. If you have knowledge or background in SQL statement or SQL, particularly, of course, you have knowledge in working on the language, particularly in SQL. If I select this SQL query, automatically the SQL query will be there, right? So you can, let's make this one a bit bigger. You can see that this is now the editor. If you click this upper right icon with an arrow pointing to the right, it will show you the code editor, which is a very, very useful code editor of Oracle Apex. And it comes with a line number as well. And proper indentation is for more proper formatting in case you might be debugging the SQL statement. So look, this is the actual SQL statement. The question is, can we still be doing some debugging over here? I mean to say, can we still change this one? Can I remove one of the field? Can I do other than this select statement? Can I do other than select statement? Maybe can I do some order by clause? Can I make some group by clause? Yes, indeed. You can work more flexible in this SQL statement, but obviously your your output will might be different from this time because this one is just it's only pulled out all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns within this table. Teacher, can I do also some where clause? Yes, indeed. You can also perform where clause within this one. And that's why, as a matter of fact, during the time that you're creating this page or along with that particular page interactive report, you remember the wizard that you're selecting each one of these columns and then you select all from left to right, which means each one of these field will be definitely will display from your region, right? So which means if I remove this example, if I remove this cost contact, of course, remove this comma here, do you think what will happen? The contact will be also be removed here from your left pane panel. See? It will also be removed from the left pane panel. Of course, if I save that one and rerun it once again, right, the contact will not be there anymore. So this is the way how we could work customization when it comes to advantage on your SQL statements, right? So which means obviously it's not there anymore in your region. You remember that before the midterm will came, I taught you how to make some synchronization within your maybe about your region, or maybe you added one column from the schema or from a particular table, but you have already created this region, or I mean this page or this interactive report, right? So I show you that we can synchronize that column, right? One second. Okay, my signal is okay. I'm still on, right? If you right click this one, it will definitely synchronize the column and then it will just pull out that particular information. But only the thing is, this is quite very basic because we only make a typical query within your table. And even no other than that, only select clause and of course, from clause only because basically it doesn't have some restriction or filtering, right? So even you can do it by synchronizing over here, right? Automatically that column will be there, or either the way, you can once again return back to that one, right? That contact. And of course, if you click OK, save it, the contact will be cost underscore contact. And suppose you do also want to apply some restriction using a where clause. Say, for example, let me just refresh this one then, and then the cost contact once again is there. But only the problem is if you have already customized the label, it will return back to the previous name of your column, cost and cost space contact, because this one is already been customized based on the questions given in your midterm exam, right? But suppose, say for example, I just want to see all the Salalah, all the customer which are in Salalah, right? But we will not use the interactive report, particularly in the filter, right? We will not use this, but rather you have a full control as a developer in the page designer, within the page designer, particularly on that region. So which means you can customize this one, right? You can customize, and of course you can add a where clause over here. And then let me just copy this cost address field, which is equal to, it's a varchar, that's why varchar 2, so I'll just make it Salalah, right? Oh, no, it's a case sensitive, right? So if I, okay, this one, and then save it, okay. Of course, for now, you're seeing the Salalah and Niswa and Muscat over here. But if I run this one, definitely only Salalah will appear. Now, what you're doing here is, this is a kind of the privilege of being a developer, that most likely probably if you don't want to show off all the records, only particular records will be seen by a particular user. And later on, we will also come out with who are the users that having access only to see all those data or all the records, right? So which means we can customize also within this SQL statement. We will use a certain kind of expression, particularly in the PLSQL. Whoever log in, suppose Hansel, or this is my credential, or maybe I'm the admin. If I log in from this application, I can see all the records. But what if, suppose Fatima or Tuful will log in from this information? Probably both of you can only see Salalah, because you have a full control on the query, because this is what we are now intending to work with later using some access control. But other than that, of course, there are still more customization you can do from here. We have another option that if you don't want to do some where clause over here, actually, we have another options here at the bottom that we can also make a server-side condition. See, a server-side condition is also another kind of facility that you can also fully make a full control on your application, particularly in displaying the records or the data. And what are the different types of server-side condition? See, similarly from what we have seen on your validation, you have an expression, you have return row returns, you have particular item value, item is null, and even numeric, and it's not numeric. So which means you have a full control over here. But what if you want to just barely write, you just only want to write a typical SQL statement? Of course, we have here at the bottom, returns, row returns. If I selected this row returns, you will be having a window that you will going to write your query here, right? You will going to write your query here. So suppose you don't want to, okay, let me just return this back to the previous setting. And suppose you don't want to do the where clause over here, right? You don't want to do the where clause over there, or probably let me just copy this one later. I will just return back to the previous state. Okay, save it, and then run it once again so that all the addresses would appear. But you want to have control on the server-side condition, right? This server-side condition is just like doing some control access. Not every single users from your application can access everything, right? So this is what you will going to taught once that you have created your own course project, do you have certain users that the users can only those can see those data? If I'm a typical administrator, definitely I have to see everything though, right? So suppose we'll just make it sample though, right? So which means if probably if my uh, row returns, right? Row returns, right? And then I will make a query over here. And this query will might be depends on whoever logs in, or probably whoever logs in the system, because this will totally hide all of this information. Actually, this will totally hide because it comes with the control of that particular query. So just say for example, okay, let me just write a query, and I will make a query like select, or probably though as an expression, right? Because I don't have yet some fields. I don't have yet some fields that I can compare that I am the administrator, or probably an expression though. Let's say B app user. Okay, B app user is one of the a PLSQL that we can also apply, and we will also check it out later if this app users will going to be depends on the login credentials. Say for example, I'll just write here Hansel, right? So click OK and save it. Now let's see how it looks. If I refresh this one, see it's hidden, all right? Why? Basically because my credential is not Hansel. It's Hansel 5292888 at gmail.com, right? So which means if I don't have an access for that, because you have made a server-side condition, whoever that uses can only benefit of seeing all those information will be only be seen on your application. So otherwise, of course, suppose if you're logged in as admin, of course, I will just write here admin, right? I will write here admin, right? So which means this app users, okay, I think the spelling is wrong though. Let me see if this will work. No, it's the same. Yeah, it's correct. So which means this is a kind of application that you can also see whether if someone is having a full access privilege. Okay, so let's take some consideration of doing this server-side condition by logging into my personal workspace. Okay, so I'll show you and say, for example, I'll be going to another workspace of mine, and I will be logging in as a developer, right? Okay, you will be seeing the application that I have. All the teachers are working on it, right? Suppose I will just run this one, and okay, so I will be logging in as a super user because I am the developer for this, right? And say, for example, let's say I will just log in. It's already there in the, yeah, see, I can see all the students. I can see all the students. You can see it at the bottom there is 2,907. I can see all the courses. How much courses we have here this time in the semester 3? 413, right? 413. So, right? So, say, which means each one of these are all the courses that I'm seeing. But what if one particular teacher will going to log in? He's not supposed to see every single information like this. Similarly, in your CIMS, if I log in the CIMS or TCMS, I can only see my advisors. Other than that, I could not see other students, which is not belong to my advisee list. And actually, you can notice also that all of my navigations are all open, right? All of my navigations are all open. So probably let me try to log in another account. Okay, another account. Let me just try to log in one account coming from the teacher, but of course I won't not be showing you. But 1 second, let me just log into my mobile phone, and of course I'm going to show you how I wrote the code for that one, because when it comes to finals now, most of our application will be based on the uh, access control, because we're gonna be working with authentication later. All right, let me just grab on to probably one, maybe one. Let me try this one though. 40. Okay, 406066. Okay, I will not mention the password, of course. Hopefully, I could come in though. Okay, no. Um, 1 second. Let's say this is 406159. Even 1 second. 406148. Okay, okay. Uh-uh. 1 second. One second, dear. Let me just remove my my desktop sharing. Right. You know, even you are the developer and the administrator. Basically, of course, many things, some rules will be there, and most likely, you are seeing. Yeah, I mean, you are seeing the records, but literally, the password won't be. All right, I'll show you now. Let me see, because this is rule of the security, that even the password, or even I'm the developer, all the passwords credentials are all encrypted. Okay, now I have seen one account here. Okay, now look, suppose this is Mr. Deva. Look, you are now seeing totally a very few navigation bar on the left. You are also seeing only his. Oh, he doesn't have a, most likely, example C. Compared to my account, I'm seeing pretty much 3,000 students. And for his, probably he doesn't have an advices. And also the courses that you might be having. I think maybe this is the limitations for each one of the users at the moment, right? How this happens actually? How this happen? If I will going to check whether I'm going to go to the lecture and edit the page, I want to open this region. This one, this is a typical interactive report. This is a typical interactive report. How I did customize this one by just writing, whoever the app user will be. See, the app user is mentioned there. So a typical, a customized SQL statement, you can still see the select statement there. And I'm just pulling out all these columns from the table itself, right? But from my where clause, I have B app user equals to uh, that particular table and particular column. So you can see that one there. So which means whoever log in, this is an example of return row, which means you can write a typical SQL statement. Whoever log in, the app user is a built-in function in Oracle, and whoever logs in, definitely they will only filter all the credentials of that particular lecture, and particularly the lecturer only. And that lecturer is basically based on the name either, or maybe based on the column of the code or the username of that lecturer. So that's why the reason now you're seeing that the login is different there. Now he's not seeing his list, right? So as a matter of fact, of course, if I once again grab another account, they will only see only limited rows there because it was been filtered. So that is an example for customizing your region using a SQL location, of course, local database, SQL query, but directly from the SQL query, you have given this one. You have given this statement. So furthermore, of course, I did not do a select statement because we haven't had a field that I need to compare the login from the BF user. So this is what we will do probably by next week, working on authentications. Okay, let me just go back to our workspace, right? And then we can just apply simple as uh, PF user only from your application. So let me just close this one though, right? So basically, you remember I made this one as admin or I think Hansel, right? So which means if you edit this page, and of course you have to select that particular region. So from our part here, we can also work within your server-side script there. And assuming that my login is, I think my login is capital letter though. Let me just see. Hansel 5292888 at gmail.com. Maybe it will be case sensitive, and we'll see. And there you go. Have you noticed that one? Right. So which means if the full will one of you will going to log in here, definitely you won't be seeing this one, right? Right. So which means let me just create one account so that you can see. I will not be using your account though. Let me just create one account. Let's say create user. Okay. I think I have sample 123. Let me just make it sample 123. So okay, sample 123 okay, at gmail.com. All right, and then okay, let me just make a password very simple. Probably the same with my email, all capital letters. Hopefully this will accept though. Okay, okay, the username is sample123 and the password is sample123 at gmail. Oops, .com. Wait, let's put the .com over there. Now let's try this one, and I will going to log in this credential from this given application. So sign out, right? And now let me now use sample 123, and the password is all capital letters sample123 at gmail.com. Right? And then sign in and go head on to your customer, and his account is not capable of seeing all those reports. So that only the problem whenever you are only using a server-side script. Let's edit that page again. That only the problem if you are using a server-side script, right? Which means a server-side condition, which we selected as the language PL/SQL, and it was only having this expression, which is every users who log in will be only be authenticated, because you see the expression you have made was basically PLSQL, right? PLSQL. Why it's like not like SQL that I have shown you on my personal workspace, which is the source, because this one is we don't have this in our table. Otherwise, if we have already table of authentication, we can perform that one as as a returns no okay, probably rows no returns, or returns row returns and no rows returns, right? So which means totally this will be hidden. This region will be hidden because you have applied a server-side condition. And most likely, of course, probably this users is not allowed to view. Even just for a view, is not allowed to done that one. So this server-side condition will be seen throughout all the objects. Throughout all the objects. Even this what do you call this one? This navigation can be also be customized through that server-side script. Even the whole page itself will not be appearing to you. You can also do server-side script, right? So if you want to perform also server-side condition only within this navigation, only within this navigation, say for example, this is similar to this one, right? Right? Copy. Okay. Say for example, sample login, but only sample must see only customer. Product will not be shown to him. Okay. So if I will edit that one and go ahead directly from your shared components, right? Of course, that is a part of navigation, right? So it's a part of navigation, particularly in navigation menu. So the navigation menu is, it was automatically generated during the time that you're creating the application. And the list of your navigations will be there. See, suppose Mr. Sample 123 is only allowed him to show this customer, and the product ordering form and the product and the ordering form won't not be seen by on his side. Example only, huh? Because technically this one now customer region is not showing. Otherwise, it's better to hide or apply a server-side condition on the navigation itself, other than hiding the region here, because it's no use, because they will still click the customer, right? They will still click the customer, and then still there's an empty one, so which is not good to see though, right? If we will wanted only the customer will be totally be hidden, that only we need to customize the navigation entry. Okay, now I'm inside my navigation entry, right? See, home, customer, product, ordering form, and another one is ordering form, probably because of this one, because there are two here, right? Which are created. But only what we need is we wanted to hide the customer itself, or probably we'll try first the product, so that it will, you can still be seeing this one. Suppose the product cannot be accessed by sample 123. So we will going to select the product, and now you're inside the shared components, particularly in the list details, that your navigation has the name of the entry product. This one, no product, that one product. See, it's the same product. Now, how can we control this one? By hiding it from that particular user, right? By hiding it from the particular user, right? So which means if you go further down here, you can still see the conditions. See, this is the server-side condition. So which is almost similar from what we have done here in the region. We selected the region of the interactive report of the customer, and we selected the server-side condition, and then we just write an expression there, right? So similarly to this one also as well, right? Condition. So there will be all list of condition which is similar to what you have seen there on your, but much more, I think much more flexible though. They are still, it's more than enough for us to select a condition. But for now, let's just make it simple. I'll just make it as an expression, right? Because I just wanted to write the same expression that we have written there. So this time, be app user underscore user, only Hansel 5292888 at gmail.com can only be seeing this product, what do you call this one? Product menu or navigation entry. So if I'm going to apply this one, we'll see what will happen. Refresh this one. product had gone now to his list. The product is gone to his list. Otherwise, if I will log in, of course, that product should be there also on my application. So I'll just write my credential, and you can see the product menu is there, right? So this is a good example of server-side condition, and particularly we haven't done fully on the interactive report working on the SQL. Furthermore, we will work on that one once that we have created today the view, right? So once again, let's have a review. What we have performed today is a typical server-side condition that you can enable or disable or hide based on the condition, based on the server-side condition. So which means every single component that you're seeing within the page of an Oracle Apex application can be controlled through the use of a server-side condition. See, this is an example of a navigation menu entry. And let me bring you back once again to this page. And now, if I select this customer, which is the interactive report region, and then we have also applied that one particularly only in the server-side condition. The type should be expression, and the language can be an PLSQL, though we have so many options here, which we will do later part, right? So which means this is a kind of access control, but for now we could not perform this at the moment. We can only perform this one based on the default Oracle Apex credential. Teacher, what do you mean? For those only those having an access within this Oracle workspace, which is Hans Apex, right? Because later we will make an authentication based on the table, custom authentication based on the table. So which is now pretty much similar to your course project. You will log in as a customer. You will only see all the informations or some pages that only required for the customer to perform. But if you log in as an administrator, you can see everything. You can do editing. Even you can hide all the buttons for the ordinary user, for the simple users, that they could not manage to delete a certain record, because that one is a kind of object like a button or delete button. But when you log in as an administrator, definitely all you will see. So same example, this one, particularly in the form. See, this delete is there, right? This delete. Suppose sample 123 could only create and could only update, but without deleting, right? So which means this delete button is basically, we can also apply a server-side condition, right? So currently I'm logged in as Hansel 529 in my credential as a super user, right? But what if, let's return back to sample 123. Is it 1234? 123. Okay, sample 123 at gmail.com, all capitals. All right. Okay. Of course, you're seeing, you're not seeing the customer. So let me just bring it out once again. Let me just remove this one, and probably I'll just copy this one and remove this server-side condition. Right. Yes. Suppose sample 123 is kind of a clerical job on a certain company, that she or he can only manage to create a new account, or I mean create or just create a new data or record, and she or he can only do some updates, but he cannot delete. But the thing is, the delete button is there, right? So which means, so we have to use a server-side condition within that particular object. And how can we do that one? How can we do that one? Do we need to delete this one? This literally delete this button? Of course not, right? Because this is a part of the form, right? Only the thing is, we only apply a server-side condition if the administrator log in. Definitely, this delete button should be there. But a simple user or limited user, we will just hide this one at the moment. So how can we do that one as well? If other than using the navigation entries, we apply server-side condition. Other than the region of the interactive report, we also applied a server-side condition. Now this time, a button. Of course, we need to edit this page. This page is page 3, right? If I edit this page, of course, you will see the page 3 from your page designer. But definitely, you have to search on that particular object where exactly is that delete is. It's there. Oh. You can see the dialog folder buttons there. As this is basically it's another region, an empty region. Actually, that one is an empty region that will hold all of these objects, right? So which means you can see the cancel, delete, save, and create, and particularly in the delete, right? In the delete. So now, if I select the delete or every single objects that you are selecting or page level items within this page designer from the left main panel, of course, these properties will also be changed. If I click cancel, button name is canceled there. But of course, we are intending to do what? A server-side script also from the delete. So if you go further down, you can also see that configuration, and I mean server-side condition. So you can see almost every single items or objects within your Oracle Apex application that this server-side condition is all the times there. So which means you are having a flexibility of working on the security as well, other than the security, of course. Now, the server-side condition is basically, there is uh, there is a condition already there. Why? Because this is a part of what do you call this one? A delete function. You will not be able to delete if it's not null. So, example, if this customer ID is null, you hit the delete button, of course, the process will not be done if this customer ID is null, that page item is null. Only very unfortunate is if I change this type to another set of expression, and then I will just write once again this be app users who is only can be only be seen by Hansel. The problem is if it will return back to that one, that delete expression will not be there anymore, right? Will not be there anymore, which means, let me just, I will not save this one, huh? Okay, I will not save. Edit. Okay, delete. Okay, because the the all right, because the database action is SQL delete. See, because the database action is SQL delete. Anyhow, just for the record, right? Just for the record, if you will change the server-side condition to an expression, and then we will give an access only for Hansel. Let's save this one. Of course, I cannot run this one because this is a model. It's a dialog page. It's floating on your screen. So let me just open again the form. Any record will be there. And look at this. The delete button is not appearing to sample 123 user anymore, right? If I will just sign out once again and sign in to my credential and back to the form of customer, and definitely the delete button is there, right? So for now, it's quite shallow because our access control is based on the content of your default Oracle Apex credentials. What I mean to say, for only for those who are created as a user within this Oracle Oracle workspace can only perform this kind of facility. Nevertheless, if you're now working with authentication, custom authentication, that is the best one. Why? Because that is based on the record on the table. We will compare the username and the password once that we will log in, which is not supposed to be added inside your Oracle Apex administration, which is the manage the users group. Right. So that would be another topic though. Okay. So this time you have seen the flexibility of the server side condition, because the server side condition will fully help you, of course, by modifying or giving a full access control or a limited access control on a particular users. But only that is only limited only in the users default of the Oracle Apex workspace, huh? Because for now, I have given you an account in my personal workspace. Same, I think you have added me also on your personal workspace. But if you created an application there, you can still make a fully control whoever the user's workspace having, but they have a limited access by just doing the what? Server-side condition. All right. So we will be going furthermore on this one. Don't worry, because for now, we're supposed now to work with a view. By tomorrow, probably we'll be working with more on dynamic action, which is instead of what I have done in the button, instead of what I have done here. Actually, that's not supposed to be done by deleting the expression over here, actually, which is not null, right? Because the moment I need to delete something, it won't not be deleted anymore, right? Because it was the server-side condition is only limited once, because it's only one setting on that particular object. So, but tomorrow it will be dynamic, because we will make a dynamic action. We will not totally change the server-side condition by default, particularly only the button, because the moment I delete, it will not delete anymore, right? Because I have deleted the server-side condition on that particular settings. But tomorrow, what we will just do, same, whoever log in, which is, let's say, sample 123, that button will be only be hidden to him. It will be only be hidden because he is an ordinary user only. But when I log in as a super user or an admin, so automatically this delete button will be enabled or not hidden. There also an option that it will be disabled. You can still see the delete button, but you cannot click that delete button. So that's the best thing with a dynamic action. So dynamic action is just like a combination of a server side and the validation as well, right? So that is, hang on to that one. Don't be absent, because uh, for the first time, maybe dynamic action is a bit difficult because there will be some PL/SQL needs to be done there. But otherwise, we can still select the default selection of the expressions over there, like not null, not numeric, or alphanumeric, or something like that, right? So that's why we have to go back now to interactive report. And the interactive report that we will work on today is all about, it's all about creating a view, creating a view. Just like you have seen here, that this region, customer, was used to be a table slash view, right? It used to be a table slash view. But of course, you have to mention the, what do you call this one, the table over here. So which means you're just only pulling out every single columns and structure of that table whenever you have selected that table name. But what if now we will create a view? What if now we will just create a view? A simple relationship that we can done, probably we can apply the same schema that you have done during your midterm exam, right? So I think let's try to work with this schema, and let's head on to your okay, I will not save this one, to your object browser. And one of the schema was customer employee, I think customer one, and we'll check for the model. Right. Now most of you have perfectly done this one actually. The schema is you got all perfect on the creation of your table structure, right? Because the worst thing is if this you have mistake, we have mistake in creation of the schema on during the finals. Definitely, it might affect also your application, particularly in the page levels. Okay, this time, say for example, we wanted to see all the orders of each one of the customer. And let me check if we have populated that one, because one mark or two marks, I believe, is given there in the order. Yeah, there is. There is. All right. So we have the information of the order there, right? So which means order ID, right? So has a relationship with the customer ID. It has also relationship with the product, right? So what we will do is we will just make a natural joining, pretty much. Okay, which means I just wanted to see all those users who ordered within your application. We will not be using first the left join and the right join. So furthermore, probably we will do that one tomorrow. But for now, I'll just to make an equi joining. I want to make equi joining that the order, this table will be linked to your customer ID via the customer ID. I mean, this table will be referenced to customer table via the customer ID. This table order will be referenced to product table via the product ID by just barely using what? Just equinatural joining. Okay. Suppose you don't want to run it on the SQL command, but you can perform that one as well. But the best thing with the Oracle Apex is we can make a certain query using a typical GUI, a graphical user interface. Now I'll show you. This is the first time you'll be seeing how to create a view in Oracle Apex. So this time, after we have done client side security, or I mean condition, we will still be going back there later. But this time we will create a view. So the view now this time will be created. Before it was a table that we're working with, but this time we will create now a view. Just click this upper right corner plus this list, and then it will see all the objects over there. This is basically your object browser. And if you create the view, it will just fall inside the view objects over here. It will just fall over here on this object example. I have a bunch of views over here. Right. So anyhow, anywhere you go, even you are active opening your tables, otherwise we are creating a new object anyhow. So just select the view, right? Now, okay, let's create this one with this ID. Okay, this is, I think this is the full's ID, I believe so. Is it your IDs mentioned there in the, I know, it's not mentioned.
It's my teacher. It's my
Oh, it's Fatima. Where's Tuful? What is this? What happened to Tuful?
She logged out. She said she didn't have network.
Oh gosh. Anyhow, it's recorded, right? Anyhow, it's
Yes.
recorded, right? This time, we have done very easy on the part of midterm, and this time we will be working a bit advanced level. So really, this recorded session is sometimes not suitable. I'll be giving you some extra links also as well, which I have personally made. But the most important is practice, because I've almost forgot. No, maybe tomorrow I will discuss the project. The project will be every single features that we have studied the whole semester, particularly here in ITDB 401. You will apply there, and actually it would be like a course project, a course mini project. So I will discuss that one tomorrow. So while we are getting some more information and topics in ITDB 401, anyhow, you have already basic already, because you have already performed midterm. So that starting from tomorrow, you have to start with that project, because that project will be similar to your a mini project. So that will be a practice to you also as well, once that you will be taking your course project too. So, but the difference is you will be working alone. Anyhow, it's just a simple or mini project. Very simple schema, but otherwise we can do also complex schema, but we will depends on it will see depends on your proposal. Okay, so this time we are creating a view, right? This is the most very useful topic that most of my course project always contacting me, teacher, can you show me again how to create a view? You know why? Because if you will now make a report that you want to see, let's say your course project is about e-commerce, online shopping, and you're putting that all the products in in the cart, and you have purchased it already. You want to see all those products that you have purchased, all the quantity and prices that you have purchased. And then there will be like kind of a report that how much the earnings within one day, how much the earnings within a month, right? Is this customer is all the time coming to our application and buying some stuff, something like that. So which means we do personally do a complex SQL statements by performing a complex, what do you call this one, relation table by barely using aggregating because we are about to do a group also as well later in the view. But for now, this is very simple. I will show you just to head on and heads up to your foundation of your SQL or foundation of your Oracle. What I will do only is I will create a typical equijoin between the three tables. Between the three tables. I just wanted to see the customer ID, the customer name. I just wanted to see the product that he or she purchased. And I want to see, of course, the price of that product and the quantity of that product. I mean, the name of that product, just for now, right? So, safe example, I will name this one as, okay, I will just mention your student ID so that every single object will be nearby to each other if we search this one to our object browser. Let me just make this one view one, right? Just for the record, view one. But in your project, it's better to name more conventional naming convention for your object. Say, for example, product transaction, or maybe I'll just do like that, or product product report underscore report one. Example only, huh? Because maybe we will make another report. That's why I'll just make it report one. So basically, you have to name your view, which is what exactly is the function of that view. Because at the end of the day, maybe you have done 10 views and now you want to do some changes. You don't know which views are now you're doing. No. So for now, let's make your student ID product underscore report. Now, the best thing with the creating the view is we have an option to write the SQL statement here, just like a code editor. Oh, similarly to your code editor, which I have shown you when we opened the SQL of your table, and then similarly also when you saw the client condition, service side condition. But I will not allow you first to write it directly here without checking on the SQL command, of course, right? Otherwise, this is not just like running and test, because the moment you write it directly here, and there's an error, definitely you won't be able to complete creating this view. So that's why as a developer, we sometimes first practice the code on the SQL command. And once that you perfect it, you can just barely copy paste it over here. But for now, I will not show you that. What we will do is much more simple. We will use a wizard that you can see that icon using hammer. This is what we call as a query builder. And this is very intuitive, and there will be a graphical users interface that will show you. Once that you click that query builder, that hammer icon, you will find this floating window now in front of you. Actually, this one is floating window. And there will be the list of all the tables which are there in your workspace, definitely, right? And suppose we have only three tables, right? During your exam, we have only three tables. First things first, we have to pull out those tables. Bring out the customer table there, right? You see that one, huh? I click that one, and it bring out here in the center. I will bring out the product table. It's there. And I will bring out the order table. So I think, Fatima, that's the reason why you wrote one. Maybe you have done this one before, or probably
Yes,
you
teacher. There
yes.
was before one table
Correct, correct. Yeah,
for
that's
this.
why. It's okay. It doesn't matter. So which means now, this is quite easy now because this is the query builder approach using a GUI or graphical user interface. All you have to do is to first things first. Huh? This is related. Each one of these one are all related. Do the relationship first. But by joining the customer ID, okay, maybe I'll just bring out this customer order table in the middle. By connecting the customer ID in the customer ID field of the order table. Just barely like that first. This is natural joining only, equi joining, if you remember your SQL. Similarly, also the product ID, click this button, that cell, and connect it where the relationship of that order one table which you have there. So for now, once that you have succeed working on the relationship, this is just barely equi join. This is an equivalent using order customer dot cost ID equals to order dot customer ID and product dot prod ID equals to order dot prod ID or product ID. So that is equi join. Now the next thing that you will do is suppose you want to see the order ID, you just tick that one and you will see there the result at the bottom. You can even change the alias as you wish, right? So for now, we want to see also the date because the date when they purchased that product. And the most important, of course, is, of course, every single of these are important because later on I want to see who is the customer who ordered this one. The product ID, I want to see and how many products he purchased. So you can do one thing. I want to see the product ID, but I want to see the product name. See? From the other table, because this is relationship, right? So which means similarly, if I already had the product ID and the product name, maybe I'll just bring out the quantity. Maybe depends how many you purchased on that particular product. Now this time I want to see the customer ID as well so that we can do aggregation that these customers are always all the time is buying in our shop, so in our app. I will grab the customer ID as well, and I will also select the customer name so at least I have information on that particular person. So I think I'm good now. I don't need for now the product quantity because this is from the database. This is based on the inventory. The product type, no need at the moment. But in some cases, sometimes we can add all of these, but we can just hide it within your view later or within your page designer. Okay, now let's review over here that we have here order ID. Make it really, it should not be ambiguous. The aliases should not, particularly if there are order ID in that table, it will come order ID as well in the other table. That will be definitely ambiguous on your SQL statement. So that's why we put some alias. So just let it be order ID, order date, product ID, prod name, quantity, customer ID, cost name. Okay, especially here, maybe some tables are the field of the product is name, the field of of the customer is name. So that will be ambiguous. So at least this one is cost name and prod name. Now, can I see the output even though I haven't created this view yet? Yes, indeed. We have a run here button. Even we haven't even done yet or created this view. You can run this one, and definitely you will see there Abdullah based on your table, because this is what you have entered on the exam. Last question there in the exam was enter random transaction, right? So you have added this one. Abdullah, he bought iPhone 6s, 5 pieces. Wow, he bought 5 pieces. And at least we have, for now, we have make a null for order date because we will make a function here for timestamp or date stamp. So now see, you see the result now. Only the problem is if you want to see all the customer who did not purchase anything, you won't be seeing here because this is a equal join, right? Otherwise, if we do a left join and right join, basically we will perform that one in a typical SQL command line. But for now, this is quite simple. So I think if this is the output you just wanted though, now you can now return and complete now your, or automatically your source code will be created, right? And now you can now go on to the next one and complete now the creating of the view by creating this create view button and confirm. You're done. And basically, this one is now a new fully created object, which is a view. That view has its own property as well. Column names, data types, and you have here also the constraint. You can still go back to the code and do some debugging, but this is basically creating or replacing. But you can just bring out the information here if you edit also this aliases on the top, right? But basically, the most important is the data as well. The data. There, look at the data. So since this is already a newly fully created object, particularly as a view, if I copy this one and run it directly from your SQL statement, definitely this is like it will run similarly as a table by writing a SQL select star from from this table, and definitely you can work with similarly with any kind of select from. Okay, the table is invalid. Okay, most likely because it might be quite long though. But furthermore, if we edit this one, it might be working with, we'll see, the table, where's the view? Okay, all right. We'll see if this will apply now on your page using customer report and along with an interactive report and using a navigation entry as well. All right, now, same example, you have here ordering form, right? But I will make here report button here, and then we will apply that information, which is the transaction of your report. Okay, now let's head on to our application now, right? Now, of course, we will create a page. We'll create a new page. We will create a report. We will apply an interactive report based on the view, based on the view. Okay, now select the report, and it will be interactive report still. All right, so this time we will name this one as maybe probably a transaction report. Okay. Transaction report. All right, so we'll just head on to some breadcrumbs and link it to your home page. All right, so click next. Okay, suppose you wanted to make a button out of these, it would be better. All right, if you don't want to make a navigation entry. Okay, let's make a demonstration without any link from the navigation. I will not select a new navigation or create a new navigation, but rather we will use a button. All right, we will insert a button from your home page, and we will link that particular page later once this is created. Okay, so this is a new one because during the time we are creating, we all the time create a new navigation entry. For now, we will not make a navigation entry, right? Definitely, you won't be able to open that one without a link. Okay, now this time, we are now into the source type. Okay, remember, table/view. So, of course, we have to select that view name and select that one and select it. See, you can see open and close parenthesis view, right? Select that one, create. Okay, for now, this is not totally linked to your application because you haven't linked that one to your navigation entry. If I run this one, it will open, right? There you go. See, this is now the transaction report. But the problem is if you go out from other page, you won't be able to open anymore because there's no link there, right? But basically, you can only run that one directly if you're a developer. But what we will do, remember, this is page number 6. This is page number 6. Suppose you want to bring out maybe one button here, a command button, or another object button here in the home page, and then it will link to open your page 6, which is your transaction, which is not here in your navigation. Of course, we have to edit this page 1, which is the home page. Edit the page. Right. So basically, this is our navigation entry from the left pane, and this is our breadcrumb. And literally, actually, the content body is still empty because this page navigation is these two. Actually, this is our shortcuts. It's can be also be seen this one in the what do you call this one in the shared component. So we'll just make it fast. We'll just add one button there. But how can we add that one? Let's bring out this one, okay, at the button. You see the layout on the center, okay? So let me make this one a little smaller a bit. Right. All right. So yeah, better I close it though. Right. Now, what we will do is we will include, this is the page navigation, which is these are the shortcuts. We will make probably somewhere here in the items by selecting the buttons. So you can see you have so many options there. Hot icon or text hot icon or so, or even text icon. Maybe probably we can just use text with an icon, right? So if I click this one and click and drag somewhere here in the items, here, right? Just for now, let's save it so that you will see the difference. Now run this one. There, it's a new. It's mentioned new, right? Because I just put it on the top of the navigation. Or probably let me just bring out here in the next save. This might be on the bottom though. Yeah, they're in the bottom. Either the way, it can be in the right, in the bottom, in the footer, or in the breadcrumb itself. Right. At least you see the buttons there. So let's customize it first. Okay, let me just make this button name as transaction button or trans button. That would be the name, but the label will be transaction report. Okay, at least we labeled that one though. Right. Make it. Let's make it bigger though. Now, what would be the event of this button? So basically, by default, it's a text with an icon, right? If I change this one into icon only, or either, I'm sorry, either I will make that one hot. You can see the difference now. It will just make this a little bit bold. See? But there's nothing's happening at the moment if I click the transaction button. So let's go back to the page designer. And the most important is this behavior. The behavior has an action attribute that you can select from, which is submit page, redirect to this application, and redirect to page to different application even, or even a URL. Let's say www.google.com, or just define a dynamic action, which is we will do furthermore on this tomorrow. So, but this time we need to redirect to a page number within the same page. So, which means we are now have to set the link, and that link would be page number 6. If you remember, that is page number 6. All right, and then click OK. and save it. Now let's see. Let's run this one. And if I click the transaction, now there you go. So which means we have added a button, another object as a part of your page level. And along with that one, we have linked that one to within the same application by defining the page number, which is the target, right? And that target will just show you the view, which we have recently done it. So this view is basically, if we edit this one, it's just basically a source view. You can see similarly that this transaction report object is a table slash view. And once again, I can show you once again what we have started earlier. We can make a query out of that. We can also set what? Server-side condition. All right? So this will complete our session. So this time it's a bit advanced level now because we are now near to our finals, completing our outcomes. So makes practice more perfect when it comes to view, creating a view, because the more complex of view that we will be working is pretty much like doing aggregating and grouping. So which means we'll be creating another kind of set of schema coming from your physical table, and then we'll just barely created the view and apply interactive report out of that created view. So this is kind of typical report that they can download within a certain applications. All right. So Fatima, are you still there? Right. Thank you for still keeping it there. And this is a recorded session. So inshallah, I'll be